Alright, let's get this started. Might as well. Hello everyone, welcome to The Brave Traveler. I'm your host, IR. This show is basically my freaking diary, isn't it? Where you get to hear how bad my accent is. Or how bad it can be. It's not always this bad. I think it's bad today because I'm fasting. I literally just a minute ago took some ibuprofen because I have a headache from one fucking day of fasting. And by the way, it's not even 100% fasting. I ate a baby pickle with some walnuts and some Brazil nuts, and I've been drinking a bunch of tea. It's funny because it's like almost 8 at night, and I didn't have any problems the entire day. Something inside me just knew I wanted to record a podcast episode, and it just said, this is a good time for a headache. Thank you. But I took 2 ibuprofen, so I should be fine. Eventually. One day. Another one. Anyways. I'm getting over being sick. Well, somebody's emailing me something. Let's see. It's an Amazon order I just put in for some vitamins. I'm thinking of selling my dad's jackets. He never wears them. He keeps them stored in storage boxes. I mean, it's been years like that. The jackets look awesome. They look brand new. And that's just fucking money. He's got like thousands of dollars of clothing. Nice clothing, like jackets and shit, that he doesn't even use. So I'm thinking I'm going to sell those. I know, it sounds horrible, but you don't know what it was like growing up with a guy that's a compulsive buyer of clothing. He literally would buy the same thing about 3 times because he would forget that he already did it. So my father was the assistant of a psychiatrist, and he earned a lot of money because he could literally take that on the road and work anywhere, from a psychiatrist institution for regular people, or in prison, or in a nut house. I think that's the technical term. I'm sure it is. And we had so much shit, I actually thought that we were rich at one point. But because we had so much shit, literal garbage. But no, I just, when I got older, I realized he's just a fucking compulsive buyer. And then when I got a little older, like when I was a teenager, we never had anything. Like we had beans. That's all we could afford. Even though he was earning really well, it would always disappear. Because when he didn't have enough cash, the guy didn't feel like waiting to the next paycheck. So he was constantly getting credit cards. and maxing them out. And then my father, like a lot of people, grew up hearing that women are geniuses and men are just good for earning a paycheck. I mean, it was pretty indirectly said. It wasn't as directly said as it is now. I hope no one watches the new piece of shit Snow White movie. But whatever. I mean, somebody's gonna watch it. Somebody's gonna take their freaking kids. Wait a minute, hold on. Okay, doesn't that sound better? Okay, so I feel a little bit like a prima donna, right? Because this microphone is so friggin' powerful. It picks up everything. Like you can hear airplanes flying overhead, or if a fucking neighbor farts. I had the heater on. I turned it off. The water dispenser is now off. My refrigerator is off. Yeah, it sounds a lot better now. I mean, you can still hear the fucking dogs barking, but, you know, can't do anything about that right now. What was I even saying? Fucking destroyed my train of thought. Hold on. Okay, I actually listened to the audio and now I remember. Okay, so that's why I don't really feel all that bad selling his treasure. The man is 71 and he doesn't have full-blown dementia, but he forgets a lot of shit. A lot. And he still has the ego of a person that graduated from medical school. He did. He just didn't do that much with the degree. Yeah. I don't know if you know any med school graduates, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not exactly like that. They have huge egos, and they don't ever think that they're wrong. Even when they are, even when you prove it to them that they are, time after time, that ego will not fucking leave. I think that graduating from medical school is seen by a lot of people as wow. And I have to assume, since I have no experience in this, that it's because it's really hard. I don't know if it is. My parents, both of them, graduated medical school. That leads me to believe that that anybody could fucking do it. Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's that hard. I think it's harder if you're a fucking loner and you have to do everything on your own. I think that my parents were really socialized people. They both grew up in giant families of 12. Yeah. And I think that being that socialized for them, it was probably really easy to have a ton of friends that more than likely would help. They probably all helped each other, which kind of took off the edge of how much you have to learn. Because you have to remember that it's not like you need to get 100% on your fucking tests, on all of them, to get that degree. Some fucking classes it will pass you on a D. I don't know how medical school works. I would hope, you would hope that everyone has to get a motherfucking A. But if you think about it logically, you know that's not true. You know they don't. I think we all think, because we're not told these things, I think that we probably, as a society, kind of think that even if they didn't pass a certain test or whatever project with an A, that as long as they pass the class, they get the degree, they'll learn the rest as they go along. You know, as they work, they'll learn, right? They wouldn't give them brain surgery jobs to start off with, right? They would be what do you call it? It's like an internship type of thing. Residency. I can't fucking remember. I heard so many different things growing up. But anyways, I mean, I was a baby pretty much when he was doing that stuff. Or no, that's a lie. I wasn't even born. And I only knew him mostly when he was the assistant of a psychiatrist. So he had the med school graduate's ego, and then, you know, constantly talking about the DSM and how everybody's fucking mentally sick. I once took some DSM tests just to see, like, oh, I wonder what I got, since apparently everyone has something. And lo and behold, I have everything. I don't regret taking those tests, those online tests, from actual government websites, but I can't remember. There was so many fucking years ago. But I will say that I don't think they're very helpful. Because let's say you find those websites that are supposed to be legitimate and very accurate, and you find that you have one or two, or like me, fucking all of them. What do you do with that information, you know? It costs money, like $1,000, to be evaluated by a motherfucking psychiatrist. Can you fucking believe that? So, even if you have them, even if you have more than one, the fuck do you call them? What is ADHD? Disorder. Yeah. Disorder. Even if you have more than just one, the psychiatrist is going to fucking charge you for each evaluation. And maybe, in his fucking opinion, you don't have it. Thank you. Free money. No benefits to you. Because that's the only reason to get evaluated for the shit. For the benefits. What else? You want to fucking make a plaque, show it off to people? No? Okay, then a test should be good enough. And if you really believe you have some sort of disorder, do some research on it. Find out how to best deal with it, right? I knew I had ADHD for years before I was ever diagnosed. The diagnosis or evaluation, whatever the fuck you want to call it, was beneficial. It came with benefits. It allowed me to get extra help in school that I wouldn't have been, allowed to have before. Like my tests, what do they fucking call it? Proctored time. I had more time to take a test, which is great. I hate fucking tests that last like 15 minutes or some shit. It's like, what the fuck? So that was helpful. Yes, I cheated on my tests. Screw you. Some people have to. I kind of hate multiple choice answers, and I kind of hate that as a whole, this society kind of needs multiple choice because we will fucking forget. And it's not because I didn't study. I remember I would study. I don't think I could have done it without that damn multiple choice. Does that mean we're stupid? Or I'm stupid? Or are the textbooks fucking stupid? All of the above, probably. The textbooks are kind of shitty, to be honest. I think they have a lot of fluff, terrible examples. They beat around the point and then completely miss it. Then they make fucking deals with schools, with a lot of schools, and ta-da. I think that textbooks today have less to do with teaching and more to do with programming the narrative. Yeah. All right, besides starving myself like an idiot. I don't know. I heard fasting has benefits, okay? Clearly they don't. I have a fucking headache. That's the benefit I got from it. Oh my god, I'm gonna stop for a moment. Then now I'm upstairs. I took a break because it was already pretty late at night and I was tired, and I don't think I can speak very well when I'm tired. When I don't care about anything except resting or going to sleep. The fasting went well, I think. I think I had more energy the next day. I mean, obviously not while going through the fasting. Man, it's quiet up here. Feels weird. Let me see if I can change some of these settings on the mic. Let's see, what does that do? Does that sound better? Well, it doesn't sound bad. I do sound a little far away, but maybe that's not terrible. Let me try the other one. Testing. I hear a hum, a louder hum with that one. I don't like it. Still hear the hum. Whoa, I sound super far away. Interesting. Okay, let me see the original one. Okay, not bad. Let's see, what about gain? What does gain do? Whoa, that's pretty cool. I'm at maximum gain. I'm guessing it's even more sensitive right now. So I could literally just barely speak and it'll pick it up. That's awesome. Okay. I had this conversation with someone a few weeks ago, and I thought it was worth mentioning that in this country we don't have the right, the freedom of where we want to be buried. When you die, the first thing they do is perform an autopsy on you, whether you want them to remove your organs or not. They're going to do that. In fact, I saw the movie Nefarious the other day, and the demon-possessed character made a point of saying that after he gets killed or executed, the first thing they do is perform an autopsy, and he mentioned how stupid that is. I agree. It's strange that you don't have the right to say, hey, I don't want anybody to cut me up when I'm dead and remove my fucking organs. Excuse me. You know, it's part of, I think, I've heard it one time, I'm not Jewish, but I've heard that it's part of Jewish belief that you can't get into heaven if you have parts missing of yourself. I heard that in a movie called Very Bad Things, where, I can't remember this movie, it was so long ago, but I think it was a group of friends that were having a bachelor party, and there was a stripper that was accidentally killed, and nobody wanted to call the police. Instead, they thought it would be best to get rid of the body. And they felt that it would be best because she wasn't killed on purpose. She was killed by accident. But they still didn't want their friend to go to prison for, I wonder what that would be, killing a prostitute or / stripper accidentally. I think that would be at the very least 10 years. But the judge might be trying to corral some votes, might even give him 20. I don't know. I think I would think it should be less if it's an accident. But 10 sounds about right. So obviously their friends didn't want him to go to prison, so they backed up the idea to get rid of the body. And of course they were in Vegas, so they drove out to the desert, and they they cut her into pieces. And one of the friends was Jewish, and he said that they can't separate the pieces. They have to be together. So they actually kind of puzzled the pieces back together in order to bury her correctly, anatomically correct. I don't know. Well, I was just thinking, like, if that's true, or if that's the way it is, why are they constantly doing, the opposite to people that die? Does the evil, satanic group that controls everything have something to do with that, maybe? Because once you're dead and you're a shell, isn't the stuff inside, you? It's a part of you, a part of who you were, or I don't know, something special. But they, of course, want everyone to not believe in religion, in an afterlife, in a higher power, in God, in Jesus, and they say, they gotta just make sure that that there wasn't any foul play. And of course that shuts us up, or most of us. Like, okay, yeah, let's make sure he wasn't poisoned, or let's know for sure that he didn't actually die of something else. And of course they'll tell you, well, when we're done, we just put the stuff back in. I wonder if that's true or not. How many times has people that work for the system said one thing, and then it turns out it was something else completely, Like, this is real food. And then it gets tested and there's like human parts in it. This is medicine. Then it gets tested and there's fucking aborted fetal cells in it. This is a vaccine. Yeah. It's not. It's poison. So I don't think it would be that much of a stretch to believe that something bad is happening when it comes to the autopsies and the way they handle dead people. Why is it that you can't choose to be buried in your own land? Like, hey, you know what? I bought that house. I bought that land. Bury me in the backyard. I think a lot of people have a sense of dread and fear at the thought of dying and leaving their loved ones with a giant bill, right? Because now you have to pay for the ambulance ride. You have to pay for the casket, the cremation, the plaque, whatever. The whole friggin' thing comes with a bill. All of that could be completely avoided by saying, no, this person wanted to be buried in the backyard by their favorite tree or whatever, like film director Stanley Kubrick. In England, he was allowed to be buried in his backyard by his favorite tree. And I think that's way better than not having a choice and being forced, obligated to pay someone else to put your loved one in their property. It just kind of seems like bullshit. Like, maybe you might think like, oh, well, it's a little morbid and macabre to want your family member buried in your backyard. I mean, maybe for you. Maybe you're not close to your family and you don't want them that close. Sure. But what if you do love your family and they happen to die? Having them close by, that's not going to make you feel like, oh, I'm afraid. Zombies. First of all, I think the zombies are kept in the underworld, and I've never gone there. I don't think anything bad will happen. I think that in the Asian culture, they understand this a little bit more. You know, when someone dies, they put their picture up on an altar and they burn incense to them. And so it's part of their daily lives not to forget the people that aren't there anymore. And yeah, you could do the same thing with an urn, but I'm pretty sure that even an urn costs money. Might be a lot less than a casket, but I'm sure it's some big money as well. On my maternal side of the family, they all sort of choose cremation. And on my paternal side of the family, they all choose to be, buried in a casket. I would like a third option. I would like to be able to choose to be buried in my own home, in the backyard or something like that. I would like to choose to not be cut open. I don't give a fuck if the government doesn't know exactly why the fuck I died. You know what? It doesn't matter anymore. I mean, it might. It might if I died from some sort of a toxin in the air or whatever in the water. It could be very important, sure. But I don't think that I don't think it's random like that. I think that if there's something in the water or the air, everybody's getting sick. I don't know. I believe it should be an individual choice. Just like you can choose to be an organ donor. That's a choice. You don't have to do it. And I can't speak against being an organ donor. Again, I think that's an individual choice. But just in case the Jewish people are correct, you might not want to do that. I wonder if there's a lot of Jewish organ donors. Probably not. There are some countries, though, that will allow you to, have this option so that you don't, on top of dying, leave your family with a financial burden so they can bury you with dignity. I think it would be really nice and not such a horrible last thought before dying that you're going to be in a box or burned and turned into ashes. To think that I'm still going to be near my family, and wherever I'm buried, maybe a tree will grow or some plants or flowers or whatever. Maybe this home will stay in the family for a long time. I mean, I think that's what anybody would want if you could have it. So I don't think that's offered. I don't think that's an option in the United States. In the United States, it's like, for your own fucking good, we're gonna mutilate your dead body because reasons. Because good reasons. And you don't have a say in that. And you can't be buried in your home because fuck you. We're gonna come up with reasons. The neighbors are gonna complain. So therefore, only way outside of the city can you be buried in government property. You have to pay us for that, of course. You don't have an option, but you have to pay us. And that's not an option either. So, America, fuck yeah. Once again, America. But there are countries, if you look them up, some are in Europe. I mean, clearly, if Stanley Kubrick was able to choose where he was going to be buried in England, then that's one of the countries. But yeah, there's more. So sadly, sadly for somebody that doesn't want to leave, America is not an option if you have a problem with being buried far from your family where they get to visit you. How often do people visit their departed loved ones? Once a year? Not even that? Yeah, I loved my grandfather, and he died when I was 16. And I've gone to visit him at the cemetery several times, but I'd be lying if I said at least once a year. I can't even remember when the last time I went to visit was. I don't know. It's been maybe 8 years, maybe a little over 8 years. So that sucks. And that's my maternal grandfather. My paternal grandfather is here in the city, and I haven't gone. And he died in like 9 years ago. Damn. I should go visit him. Yeah. So definitely life gets in the way. And we don't forget these people, but we don't visit them either. I think a lot of us probably, we might say to ourselves that, well, they're dead. What do they care? And maybe that's true. I don't know. But I know that if I owned a property, if there was a, I don't know, like a family house, like I know that when I was younger and my parents were younger, the family home that everyone reunited at was my grandfather's house. His big ass property. And it was wonderful. And I thought that should have always been in the family. That's this place where everyone reunites at. All the uncles and aunts and cousins, and it was great. My grandmother had the genius idea of selling it for chump change. Somebody told her that they could give her $100,000 for it immediately. The property was worth like $1 million, and the person that bought it put because the lot was so big, they put apartment complexes or some sort of a duplexes. I don't know. They look like apartments, but for the rich. There's like maybe four different homes in that property now. Big. they built up. And I hated my grandmother for such a long time for doing that. Because if I would have had the money, I would have bought it. And I said, I'll get a job. I'll pay you monthly. And she's like, no, I want the whole thing now. This fucking lady. But she's dead now, so should not disrespect the dead. I honestly believe that. I think that when a person dies, they sort of understand everything. They sort of get all the answers, so they can just see all the mistakes they've done. Sounds like a punishment, but maybe it's a reward. Maybe it's a little bit of both. So that's what I believe in. So I think that everybody that's died sort of messed up, they know it. And there's no reason to, no pun intended, but kick a dead horse. So I do have a picture up of my grandmother, even though like I said, I hated her when she was alive for doing what she did. Because I do believe that, she gets it now, wherever she is. I would assume she's in heaven, because she didn't really do that much bad. I mean, she did that one thing that I hated her for, but I don't think she did it with anger. I don't think that her reasons were, yeah, screw them. No. She said she had like 10 kids, so she said she wanted to give 10,000 to each one, which I'm not sure that she did that. In fact, I don't think she did. I was watching Fittest Flat Earthers channel, and he outed David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave. He said he's actually a fucking Freemason, and I've seen his evidence and how they like doing their OK 3/6 sign, and then they're Freemasons, sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. Your hand sort of pointed like an arrow by your chest, like you're saying, they gotta be this big. It's strange. Is it possible that Flat Earth Dave and a whole bunch of other guys, including the guy that does the My Lunch Break videos, that they're actually bad guys? That what they're actually trying to do is lull you into a false sense of security when it comes to any kind of information coming from them. So in order to do that, they're giving you something so that later on you don't see what they're actually taking. And that is a very strong possibility. I think it's a really good gimmick, to pretend to be somebody's friend, and you do a lot so they know that you are for real their friend, so that later when you stab them in the back, they don't fucking see it coming. They'll look at everybody else except for the guy that actually did it, because no way that guy betrayed me. That's the guy that helped me with this and this and that. It's possible. I mean, even in like espionage movies or, like The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio, great Martin Scorsese movie. He's a cop, and he's going to infiltrate this criminal underworld by pretending he's not a cop, right? He's one of them. And then there's that old saying, like, if you can't beat them, join them. And I'm pretty sure if we could hear the rest of that quote, it'd be something like, and then destroy them from the inside. I do think that the Bolsheviks were actually the ones that replaced the actual nationalists and became the Nazis. I do think that the Templars were once upon a time good, since they were the King Solomon's private army, the soldiers, and then a different group sort of killed them and started wearing their Templar clothing so that everybody would know that the Templars are actually evil, and never realizing that they were usurped. I think the group that did that were can't say their name, starts with a J. Something, yeah. It's all to produce confusion and chaos. Like the Free M's, they do that all the time. There's so many groups that belong to the Free M's that you think like, yeah, but this group is called this and this group is called that, so they can't possibly be the same one. Well, it's not like they tell everyone, but they're connected. I mean, their members might not even know it, which is why they have degrees. The higher up, the more information you have. That makes sense, especially if they're trying to keep everything a secret. It just gave me a lot to consider, especially when there's channels that have so much information. And I've thought about this before. I've thought, like, how can some of these channels have this much information? Like Vibes of Cosmos, for example. That's a ton of information. Could they be the bad guys? Of course I want to believe that they're good. Vibes of Cosmos gets their information from old maps, from old encyclopedias before NASA that actually confirmed that the firmament was 13,000 feet in the air, around there, the dome. And then everything after that just sort of started to say that no, there's no dome. It's space. There's space up there. Fittest Flat Earthers said something really amazing. I mean, a couple of things besides the fact that Hollywood actors who refer to themselves as stars might actually be either shape-shifting reptilians or vampiric parasite motherfuckers, or they're not really people, or at least they're not the people they admit to be, because they're all wearing masks and they're actually playing characters even off camera, so that they could literally be playing Brad Pitt and Benicio del Toro, and maybe some other people are playing other actors every once in a while, or even presidents, right? Didn't Joe Biden change height randomly? It's very interesting. He mentioned this incredible way of knowing that the Earth is not a globe. He said, buildings are always built level and straight up. When you see a building that's 53 miles away, does it look like it's leaning, or does it still look straight up? So he did this experiment just to sort of get people to visualize it better. He grabbed a ball, like a basketball or a medicine ball, and he put a statue on top. And he said, when it's over here, like behind, it's not leaning off the ball. It should still be on the ball, and therefore it should look like it's completely leaning back, not still looking straight up. But it is. It doesn't lean back at all. It continues to be pointing straight up. That is the best fucking argument I've ever heard for proving that this place is not a globe or a ball or a rock hurling through space at a bajillion miles per hour. I'm impressed with that. And fittest flat earther, I don't know if he's legit. I don't know if he's a good guy. I know I want to believe that he is. But that was the best fucking argument I've ever heard. And it was so simple, anybody could get it. I even played it for my daughter and she got it. Like, yeah, duh. So there you go. We're not in a globe. We're not in a ball or a big giant rock. We might just be in an enclosed space with a firmament. I encourage anybody to get their hands on encyclopedias from the early 50s, before NASA, and you'll be surprised at what they say in the Antarctica section. Or even like old dictionaries, where like even the guy from my lunch break, he pointed out that they used to say the dragons were rare now, not, fantasy. So, yeah, we live in a very interesting world. It sucks for all us older people. I mean, I'm not that old, but I don't feel young anymore. But for older people, it does feel like, fuck, man. I wasted so much time believing in bullshit. I wish I had known this stuff since forever. But everything happens for a reason, so it's fine. What do you do? Be sad? Nah. Let's move forward. Okay, something else I wanted to talk about. I started watching Attack on Titan, and I'm on season 3. Season 2 was insane, and it was so short. I can't remember how many episodes it was. I think it was like 8 episodes. It was really crazy, but I think it felt extra crazy because it was so rushed. They didn't have that much time to develop it properly. They introduced a bunch of new stuff. It hardly made sense. It's all interesting, but I kind of think that the manga has to be way better just because there's no time to really get a grasp of what the hell is going on. So it just feels kind of random and rushed. They had the coolest outro song with some really great images going. That was the best thing about season 2 for me. Sure, there were some interesting surprises, some weird Titan fights. I'm not quite sure I understand it. There's one big Bigfoot, and he's a genius. There's one big giant Cenobite looking guy. Apparently you can turn into a Titan if you just get really angry. Oh man. I'm suspicious of manga. I wonder if it's not just stories from the old world being animated and being reintroduced into our society as though they were new. There's just a lot of weird stuff when it comes to manga and anime, and by weird I mean suspicious. Akira Toriyama, who, let's face it, mysteriously died by how again? Never gave interviews. There was one TV interview. I don't know that that's actually him. There's some random picture of him when he was older that looks nothing like the guy that did the TV interview, by the way. There's a few pictures of him working, I guess. Insanely famous. You would think he's making a shitload of money. But there's really not that much information on him. I guess Jackie Chan met him one time. Okay. What else? They poured in so much money into the cartoon that's based on Journey to the West that the cartoon or anime was ahead of his original material, right? That's really weird. So he hasn't even drawn or written it yet, but the anime already knows what they're doing. That to me says they're all in on it together. They're all writing it and developing it together. It's not just Akira Toriyama. He's just sort of the Mickey Mouse. He's the mascot. He's the face. He's the name. But that's it. And then the same fucking thing happened with Dragon Ball Super. The cartoon came out before the comic book was even finished. It's very, very, very strange. Oh, and Akira Toriyama in his signature, he's got the same 3 6s as Walt Disney does in his. Let's not even mention the fact that there's a character in the show called Mr. Satan. And if you saw Dragon Ball Z, you know that constantly when it would cut away to a commercial and come back, there were images of a truck or a vehicle sporting 3 6s on it. So I don't think that it's a coincidence. The whole Satan 3 6s demons on the show, that's a constant thing. 7 Dragon Balls? 7. You mean like the 7 planets, 7 colors, 7 heavens, 7 domes? A lot of the stuff about 7 is also mentioned in Revelations with the 7 locks, 7 treasures. Yeah, so I don't know. Then I heard the story about Full Metal Alchemist and how it was written and drawn by a lady who grew up in a farm and loved to draw. Not loved to read. Emphasis was put in loved to draw. And then she went to school, college, university, I don't know, and decided to do the Full Metal Alchemist. How does she have all the information that's in that story about the homunculus, about reptilians, about just a whole bunch of fucking things when it comes to alchemy? How? If her passion was just drawing. So I sort of felt like this is bullshit right here. And I know that because of the way society is now programmed, you can't even point out fallacies or inconsistencies as long as they're attached to a woman or a person of color or a person from the Baphomet Club. There's always going to be some gatekeeping idiot that's going to shine a good guy badge and sort of put a stop to it. Like, no, you don't question this. And I'm not questioning it because she's a woman. I'm questioning it because of the self-admitted information that was offered, which is that she grew up in a ranch. I didn't know that they were fucking alchemists that knew about homunculus, that were that fucking advanced in this kind of way of thinking in order to write that amazing story. Oh, and by the way, Alphonse is wearing a Freemason, what the fuck do you call that? The shit that they wear over their genitals to cover their shame because they all wish they were ladies. I'm not joking there. Look into Freemasons. Look into the books by, is it Alfred Packer? There's a lot of interesting Freemason books, and it won't take long for you to see that they worship the devil. And now, I just got done with Demon Slayer Season 5, and it was so awesome. I couldn't wait for the big finale, which is apparently going to be released in theaters in 3 movies, which is fine. Why not? I'm sure it'll be really cool. It'll feel like an even better experience in the theater. But I didn't feel like waiting, so I just read the last 65 chapters because Season 5 ends at Demon Slayer 140. And the entire series ends at number 205. So maybe I miscounted and I actually read 66 chapters. Well, whatever. They went by fast. It was awesome. I loved the stories, the back stories of the characters and how they all intertwine. The ending, the sacrifice, I mean, it's just one of the best endings ever. So I really loved it. But here's the thing that's, well, there's many things, right, that's really suspicious about Demon Slayer. All the information is, it might be really fucking accurate, and you might, most people would have no idea, because it's talking about things and exercising abilities that we're never made aware of, unless it's under the setting of this is just fantasy. Whoever made that had a lot of privileged information, and so it doesn't surprise me that the person that makes Demon Slayer is unknown. There's a name attached to a drawing of an alligator with glasses. What the fuck does that mean? Are they reptilian? And there's not much more information beyond that. I've heard videos speculating that they think it's a woman. Why? Whatever. But fine. It's a woman, it's a man, it's a thing. Hell, it's fucking AI. Heck, it's not one person, it's many people. We could continue to speculate. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's not known. That's really, really interesting. And I'm not going to say that all mangas are, there's something suspicious about them, but I do think that it's suspicious when they're that good, that well marketed, and there's not a whole lot of information on the supposedly one person, writing and illustrating it. It's just too fucking easy to manipulate it. When you don't know who's writing it, how do you know it's one person writing it? How do you know it's the same person writing and drawing it? When you don't have this information, couldn't the bad guys be doing exactly the same thing as Flat Earth Dave? Couldn't they be giving us something that we feel is of value, right? They're very entertaining. While at the same time programming us in the wrong direction. Now, I'm not going to pick on Demon Slayer, even though I think it's interesting that one of the... what do you call them? Hirashis? There's 9 of them. They're like the main Demon Slayers. One of them has 3 wives, and those 3 wives at all times have half their tits out. One of the 9 best Demon Slayers is a pink-haired lady, and half her tits are out at all times. Like, hey, that's fine. Is it? I would hate the future if men are allowed to have half a dick out or their balls out. I really wouldn't like that. Now you might think like, well, those are genitals. That's different. These are tits. That's, who doesn't like tits? Okay, fine. I wouldn't want to be a guy that does that either. I would hate that. And I think there are some guys that do that. Thankfully, it's not common. That would be so shitty. Unless you're at the beach or your name is fucking Sinbad, don't do it. Don't have your chest out. That is not a good look. Mangas and animes for the longest time have had a very strong relationship when it comes to demon interaction. Whether it's being possessed by a demon or a parasite and making a deal with it, and all of a sudden you have superpowers, let's use it for good. But isn't that misleading? Because I don't think that parasitic demons are going to help you in any fucking way. Is it possible that there is a good demon? Well, I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh talked about a good giant, right? Because most of them didn't give a shit about humans. But he seemed to. So is it possible? It might be possible, but it wouldn't be the standard. And even if there is a good demon, by just good judgment, I'd say stay away. I don't think it's like the mangas. Or maybe it is. Maybe they're being honest, being straightforward. They're telling you that the Asian culture, or the leaders, I'm not going to say everybody, but maybe a lot of them who are now in charge did make deals with demons. I don't know. Or the reptilians, whatever. Or both. I don't know, but there's something really suspicious, and I wouldn't trust the mangas or animes, even though I'm a big fan of theirs. I just think that some of them are lying about a lot of things. In the Dragon Ball Super anime, I noticed that the animation strongly resembles what you see now done by AI. And I think they had it first. And they definitely used it on that show. The artwork in the manga Berserk is some of the most amazing stuff I've ever seen. It runs laps around artwork in America. It's just so incredible that I have to say bullshit. There's no fucking way. I don't give a shit if he's a mangaka or not. There's no way that in such a short amount of time that he was given to produce the next issue, because not only was the artwork amazing, but so was the writing. That's pretty motherfucking impossible in such a short amount of time for the same guy to do that. I mean, one of the two would have to suffer. If the writing was going to be that good, he's not drawing these masterpieces. And yet, there it is. So, what's actually going on? Was it two people? Was it more than two people? Was a machine involved? I mean, obviously he was using Photoshop, but I think it's more than that. Way more than that. The details were just so detailed that if he's copying from a reference, it's going to take him forever. Because he's not just drawing the same thing over and over again like Mark Silvestri or some shit. He is completely reinventing everything in every issue of Berserk. It's not possible. So there's something sneaky going on there. Oh, and mysteriously, the writer-illustrator Berserk dies. Okay, so yeah, I think there's something there, but we're not allowed to look into it or question it because, I mean, you're racist. You're racist. How dare you? Don't you know how much honor and amazing culture and so because of people like that that think that way, we're not allowed to question the validity of this stuff. But yeah, there's something fishy there. Okay, I'm going to end this episode by saying that Nefarious is amazing. Please watch that movie. Do yourself a favor. It, I don't know. It reminds me of Sound of Freedom just because it's a movie that is against Hollywood and all the bullshit that they churn out. And it's a movie that the system really doesn't want you to see. For that reason alone, you should watch it. You really should. It's about a psychiatrist interviewing an inmate on death row that's about to be executed that night, unless the psychiatrist can deem the guy insane. He meets the guy, and the guy says he's a demon. He's a demon possessing the body of this guy. It's a great conversation, and you won't be bored. Trust me. Just watch, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. You won't be bored. It's a great movie. I don't want to give away the ending. There was a question I had in my head about the ending, which is something having to do with the practice of execution in prisons and how the details there, how they go about it. Anyways, watch the movie. You'll thank me later. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day. Bye. Later. Take care. God bless. Jesus saves. Be good. Later.